Hello and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist, where we explore the quiet corners of history, philosophy, and human nature, in a way that's thoughtful, soothing, and just a little bit mysterious. Tonight, we step into the mind of Robert Greene, a writer who dares to uncover the hidden laws of power, manipulation, and success. So settle in, let your thoughts drift, and prepare to see the world in a new light. What if I told you that most people don't know how power really works? That the rules they were taught in school, play fair, be nice, work hard, don't actually lead to success in the real world? What if the truth is far darker? That manipulation, strategy, and emotional control are not just tools of villains, but survival skills in modern life? And what if someone wrote a book that exposed all of it, without apology, without sugarcoating, and became a global bestseller? That man is Robert Greene. And whether you love him or hate him, he has changed the way millions think about power. Seduction, war, mastery, and human nature itself. Who is Robert Greene? So who is this guy? Robert Greene didn't start out as a philosopher of power. He was born in Los Angeles in 1959, studied classical Greek and English literature at UC Berkeley, and later moved to Yale to study philosophy. But here's the twist. Instead of becoming an academic, he worked odd jobs: construction worker, translator, Hollywood writer, before finding his true calling, decoding the hidden laws of human behavior. His big break came in 1998 with the 48 Laws of Power, a book that would go on to sell over 2 million copies and become a cult classic among entrepreneurs, politicians, and even prison gangs. But who is Robert Greene today? He's not flashy. No podcast, no Twitter rants, no selfies. He's a recluse compared to other self-help gurus. Yet, his influence is everywhere. In fact, in a rare interview with The New Yorker, Greene once said, "People want to believe that life is fair, that hard work pays off. But the reality is that power operates by its own rules, and those who ignore them get crushed." Asterisk the controversy around Greene now. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Robert Greene is not universally loved. Critics call him a Machiavellian, manipulator, a glorifier of psychopaths, even a dangerous influence on impressionable minds. In fact, the New York Times once described the 48 Laws of Power as a manual for sociopaths. But here's the thing. Greene never claimed to write moral guides. He writes about how power actually works, not how we wish it worked. Think about it. Do you only read books that tell you what you already believe? Or do you sometimes read things that challenge you? What if the reason Greene is so controversial is because he tells uncomfortable truths, ones that most people prefer to ignore? The core themes across all his books. Let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Greene has written 7 major books: The 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, The 33 Strategies of Warfare, 50th Law with 50 Mastery Laws of Human Nature. The daily laws. Each book is different, but they all share a common thread. They're about understanding the hidden forces that drive human behavior: fear, ego, desire, insecurity, ambition. As Greene himself says in Mastery, human nature is not going to change. People will always have egos, insecurities, and desires. The key is to understand these patterns and use them, not against others, but to navigate the world with clarity. Let's break down each book quickly. Asterisk the 48 Laws of Power. Why it still matters. Let's dive into his most famous work, The 48 Laws of Power. This book isn't about ethics. It's about strategy. Every law is backed by historical examples, from Sun Tzu to Napoleon, Cleopatra to Steve Jobs. For example, Law number 6. Court attention at all costs. Greene argues that visibility is often more important than merit. Sounds cynical? Maybe, but ask yourself, How many brilliant people stay unknown while less talented ones rise simply because they know how to attract attention? One of my favorite parts is when Green talks about law number 15, crush your enemy totally. He uses the story of Cesare Borgia, a ruthless Italian nobleman who wiped out his enemies completely, ensuring their families couldn't retaliate. Does that sound extreme? Maybe. But think about corporate takeovers, political campaigns, or even social media battles. Doesn't crushing your enemy totally still apply? Here's the point. Green doesn't invent these laws. He observes them. He documents how power has worked throughout history and warns us that ignoring these patterns is dangerous. The art of seduction, not just about romance. Next. The art of seduction, probably the most misunderstood of Green's books. Yes, it's about seduction, but not just romantic seduction. It's about persuasion, influence, charisma, and emotional manipulation. Green identifies 8 types of seducers: the siren, the rack, the ideal lover, the dandy, the natural, the coquette, the charismatic. The storage represents a different way to captivate someone's attention and emotions. One of the most powerful lessons is this: seduction is not about sex. It's about making people feel something they can't resist: curiosity, admiration, longing. Think about the greatest marketers, influencers, leaders, aren't they all, in some way, masters of seduction? So the next time you see a brand campaign that makes you emotionally attached to a product, ask yourself, are you being sold something or being seduced? The 33 strategies of war. Strategy beyond battlefields. Now, let's shift gears. The 33 strategies of war might seem like a military book, but Green insists it's for everyone. Whether you're negotiating a raise, starting a business, or dealing with office politics, the principles of war apply. Take strategy number 12. Make your battles unavoidable. Green uses the example of Genghis Khan, who forced enemies into impossible situations, forcing them to fight on his terms. Translating that into modern life, when you present someone with a situation they can't avoid, you control the narrative. Another great one is strategy number 19. Know your enemy. Sun Tzu said it. Green echoes it. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. So ask yourself, do you truly understand the motivations of the people around you? Or are you constantly reacting to their moves instead of anticipating them? The 50th law, fearlessness and survival. The 50th law is unique because it's co-written with rapper 50 Cent. Yes, the guy behind DA Club. At first glance, that seems strange. But Green explains, 50 Cent is the perfect example of someone who turned fear into power. He survived a near-fatal shooting and used that experience to build a brand. The central idea is simple: fearlessness equals freedom. Green draws parallels between 50 Cent and historical figures like Malcolm X, Napoleon, and Howard Hughes, all of whom embraced risk and uncertainty to achieve greatness. One of the most striking quotes from the book: "You either die fearing or live free." Powerful, right? But here's the deeper question. Can you truly be fearless in today's world? Or does society condition us to fear everything? Failure, rejection, criticism, until we stop taking risks altogether. Mastery. The long game of excellence. Now let's talk about mastery. Perhaps Green's most inspiring book. This is where he shifts from power plays to personal growth. He explores the lives of masters across disciplines, Mozart, Darwin, Temple Grandin, and uncovers a common pattern. They all went through a long, painful apprenticeship before achieving mastery. One of the core ideas is the concept of the creative task. The idea that true mastery comes not from shortcuts, but from obsession, repetition, and immersion. Green also warns against the trap of rationality. Too much logic can kill creativity. He cites Leonardo da Vinci as the ultimate example, a man who combined science, art, and imagination in ways that defied conventional thinking. So here's a thought. Are you chasing quick wins and viral moments, or are you building something lasting? The laws of human nature. Understanding ourselves, the laws of human nature might be Green's most profound book yet. He dives deep into psychology, exploring how our egos, insecurities, and irrational behaviors sabotage us. One of the most powerful chapters is on the mirror effect, how we project our own flaws onto others. Green writes, we often criticize others for the very things we dislike in ourselves. Another key insight, the law of irrationality. We like to think we're rational beings, but most decisions are driven by emotion, fear, and unconscious bias. So here's a tough question. Are you aware of your own psychological blind spots? Or are you repeating the same mistakes because you refuse to look inward? The Daily Laws, Practical Wisdom for Everyday Life, Green's latest book. The Daily Laws is a practical guide, daily excerpts from his previous books. It's designed to help readers internalize the lessons of power, strategy, and self-mastery on a daily basis. One of the standout entries is Law number 12. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Sounds manipulative. Maybe, but Green explains it as a lesson in value creation. If people depend on you because you provide real value, that's not manipulation, that's leadership. So ask yourself, are you giving people reasons to rely on you, or are you fading into the background? Why Green resonates today. Why does Green still matter in 2025? Because we live in an age of noise, distraction, and superficiality. Everyone wants shortcuts. Everyone wants to be seen. But Green reminds us, true power comes from understanding the game and playing it better than anyone else. In a world of cancel culture, performative virtue, and algorithmic manipulation, Green offers a counter-narrative. Be strategic. Be observant. Be emotionally intelligent. Be prepared. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what we need. Final thoughts and call to action. So, here's the final question. Will you continue living in a world where you react to events, or will you learn to anticipate, plan, and master your environment? Robert Greene doesn't offer easy answers, but it gives you tools to understand the game and play it with purpose. So if you haven't read any of his books yet, start with the 48 Laws of Power or Mastery. And if you've already read them, it's time to reread them, because every time you revisit Greene, you discover something new. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell me which Robert Greene book changed your life.